It's time for the Spoony One! Wrestling Show! It's time for the Spoony One! Wrestling Show!
Well, good news is that there was more than 6 minutes of wrestling on Impact. Yeah. And amazingly, the majority of the wrestling that was on the show wasn't on Reaction. On the other hand, I'll just tell you this now. I'm not watching Reaction. No. I'm not taking notes on it. I might have it on in the background when other shit's going on, but I'm not watching it. You know, so you have not earned that loyalty from me, TNA. No. Although, astute Twitter followers have told me that even though that in storyline, Dixie Carter has had her company essentially stolen from her in every conceivable way, even financially. She is no longer in storyline the majority shareholder, whatever that means. No, Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan are, and yet in the credits to Reaction, Dixie Carter is still listed as executive producer. Oops. Which what amazed me was, if you follow her Twitter, she retweeted this. She's like, this slayed me. She's like, the tweet was something like, why are you still listed as executive producer? What fucking idiocy is this? I thought you were removed as president or whatever like that. And Dixie retweets this and is like, yeah, that just proves that Hulk Hogan and Eric are idiots who have no idea how to run a company. I'm like, yeah, that sure proves that Hulk and Eric have no idea how to run a company. Proves that somebody doesn't. That's all I'll say. I'm going to cruise through this one because I've pretty much had it with Impact, at least for the foreseeable future. Mr. Anderson comes out with his arm in a sling. And he calls Jeff Hardy out because Mr. Anderson is an idiot. Why is he an idiot? Because apparently he had a separated shoulder and a hyperextended elbow to the point where his arm and his shoulder are in a sling and wrapped from shoulder to fingertip. And he wants to fight Jeff Hardy, who has no injuries and who has at least 11 people backing him up. Yeah. Anderson, bro, even one-on-one, you didn't stand a chance. But so, like I said, this all makes Ken look like a complete fucking idiot. But I guess you gotta roll with it. And no, so RVD comes out. Rob Van Dam! And Rob really starts acting like a heel all of a sudden. I think that's actually where they're going with him. Where Ken basically, Rob basically tells Anderson to stop his fucking whining because he's out there demanding a title shot for the title that he never lost. And so he's actually right, but there's ways where the guy's actually right, but he says it in such a way that he's acting like a heel. Yeah, you know what I mean? To where he's being that kind of guy. And so Bischoff comes out, and of course Bischoff is being the usual smug bastard he always is when he's a heel. And he announces a couple of matches. First he sets up an Ultimate X match with Anderson versus Kazarian. Why an Ultimate X? I don't know. Once again, this is what I'm talking about when I say that we're doing these matches for no reason. We could have just had a one-on-one match, right? But there's always this, for some reason, we always got to do this thing. This is very Vince Russo, where why have a match when we could have a gimmick match? That's pretty much the thinking. He's like, well, we have so many regular matches. Why not make it an Ultimate X match? Just cause. You know, that's probably more thinking than Vince even puts into this thing, but that's the thinking. So Eric Bischoff comes out, he's like, okay, Anderson and Kazarian actually he calls it an X Division match. No, it's an Ultimate X match. And so once again, we're doing a match for no real reason that diminishes the importance of the diminishes the impact and the excitement over the Ultimate X match. It's just another match, you know. So if Anderson wins, he becomes the #1 contender. Rob Van Dam, on the other hand, gets no such match, even though he's completely right in that he never lost his title, and so by all rights he should be first in line. But no, Anderson still gets a #1 contenders match, and Rob gets to team up with Sabu against Beer Money. And, of course, Bischoff, as he leaves, he says, "I'm not saying nothing, but Rob, you know, Jeff Hardy turned on you. Just about anybody could turn on you, so I'd watch your back." And he's like, ah. And since Rob is an idiot, he instantly believes Eric. And really, what I wrote was, Rob is backstage. He goes backstage and he's furious. He finds the ECW guys, you know, like Tommy and Stevie and shit like that, and he's fucking yelling. He's pissed off. He wants to know who set him up, and he's like, "Who's gonna turn on me next? Is it gonna be you?" And like Raven says something. He says something, and so Rob starts beating up Raven, and of course Raven didn't set him up. But I was like, you know, last week I said that Rob Van Dam was a fucking idiot because he kept pointing his thumbs at himself and costing himself basically the match several times against Abyss. You know, like he was more concerned with like pointing his thumbs at himself than beating up the guy who put him in a coma. So, but apparently that wasn't a plot hole. We are actually making the fact that Rob Van Dam is a fucking idiot a defining trait of his character, because he instantly believes Eric Bischoff, the guy who has lied to everybody and stolen a company. He's like, "Oh my god, he's right, there's a traitor among us." And so Rob's a fucking idiot. Then they endlessly recap the Jersey Shore thing where, this is how much it already affected me. JWoww came to the Impact Zone and they paid her $15,000. $15,000 to fake slap fight with Cookie in a segment that couldn't have been more than 3 minutes long, that everybody shit on and sucked. So apparently we're going to do this thing where then we had a match, Robbie E versus Amazing Red, and they job Amazing Red out immediately after he won the X Division title. So welcome back to Jobberville, Red. We missed you. I wrote, the only thing I could focus on during this whole match, because the match sucked, was that Taz started sticking up for Hogan and Eric's regime, saying they've given us no reason to mistrust them. What, other than the multi-million-dollar fraud that they perpetuated on a company? The fact that they stole it? The fact that they systematically lied and have assaulted and crippled numerous people in their road to stealing this company? The fact that they almost crippled Rob Van Dam, that they have severely injured Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe and Mr. Anderson not 5 minutes ago in the very ring. So they've given us no reason to mistrust them. I'll get back to this, but I know that they're really trying to pull the heel trigger on Taz, because I think they really are tired of two baby faces on the announce booth. But it really makes, they've given us no reason to mistrust them. Jesus Christ. So Robbie wins with an RKO and cuts a promo on Jay Lethal, and the crowd completely pissed on all this. Like, they hate, and not in that good way, they hate Robbie. They hate this whole Jersey Shore shit because it's stupid. They don't want to see the Jersey Shore guys. They don't want to see JWoww. And they sure as shit don't want to see a chick, an annoying, shrill, big-titted chick they've known for like 5 minutes total. They certainly don't want to see her wrestle the annoying, big-titted bitch from Jersey Shore in a really horrible wrestling match, undoubtedly on pay-per-view, for which she will be paid $15,000. The crowd chants boring. They mainly chanted boring, but they chanted shut the fuck up. Just god-awful. This whole thing is awful. This is where it gets weird. They cut to Mick Foley's book signing tour, And I wrote, Brian Kendrick acts like a fucking idiot at the Q&A. This was 5 minutes. They showed Mick Foley signing books, and Brian Kendrick asks stupid questions about the book. I guess it was a little funny, but I had, like, here's a very simple question. What did this accomplish? If you can answer that fucking question, you win the Cupid doll. Because this accomplished fucking nothing. Well, okay, I'll tell you what it accomplished. It accomplished making Mick Foley look completely unconcerned with the hostile takeover of TNA, and it made Brian Kendrick look like a complete nut job who can't wrestle. Mission accomplished. Fortune is out back, and I couldn't catch a fucking word of it because they're all talking endlessly over one another. One thing I forgot to mention was the Pope. They did a video package of the Pope in New York City, who's at a strip club, getting a lap dance from a woman who had all her clothes on. And the Pope was like, I want to fight you, AJ Styles, I want to fight you. And he says, I want to fight you like 8 times. So they go backstage to Fortune, and they're all making jokes and talking over one another. AJ says he'll accept the Pope's challenge. He's even going to put his title on the line, and he's going to make it a street fight. And I wrote, so AJ can just decide when he wants to put the title up. This isn't determined by the championship committee. He can just decide, I feel like putting my belt on the line this time, and I'll make it a street fight. So AJ Styles can book his own matches. And then he's like, hang on a second, where is my belt? And they start looking around for AJ's belt. And then Flair goes, oh, here's your belt. And they pick up the belt, and there's a Smirnoff Ice. Oh, they all go, oh, you got iced. And then Flair drinks the Smirnoff Ice. Again. What? I just want to slap this show. I want to slap Dixie right across her fucking stupid head. Is it okay? Is it funny watching Ric Flair chug a Smirnoff Ice? Yeah. But again, what does this accomplish? You know what it accomplishes? Here's what it accomplishes. It accomplishes confusing the fucking audience. Why? Well, because we're not supposed to like Fortune. They're the heel group. They're siding with Immortal. They're siding with Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff, the bad guys who stole the company. Ric Flair and Fortune are their foot soldiers. We're supposed to boo them. And yet, every time we see Fortune, they look like they're having a great time. Like they're hanging out, they're shooting the shit, they're drinking, they're playing pranks on each other. It all seems like a lot of fun. It really seems like when you're back there with Fortune that you want to be with them. Like you want to hang out with Fortune because they're having a great time. It doesn't make anyone want to boo them. It's so stupid. Then, highlight. I almost stop myself because as soon as I say that, they'll do something dumber. Okay, I posted on my website earlier this morning a clip from WCW, I believe it was Nitro, where Hulk Hogan. Well, I'll just explain this one. I'll go into this. Okay, the first thing that happens is Miss Tessmacher, who, if you may remember, was fired from being Eric Bischoff's personal prostitute and secretary and head of the Knockouts division, and fired into being a wrestler. The lowest form of life, apparently. So, Miss Tessmacher goes into the girls' dressing room, and she asks them to teach her how to wrestle. And I had to stop the video and laugh my tits off, because there's so many things you could say about a woman going into a dressing room and asking the TNA Knockouts, namely Lacey Von Erich, to teach her how to wrestle. I could have just gotten up. Like, honestly, I considered just ending my review there because you can't top that. What sane woman is like, she has a problem, okay? She has to wrestle. What sane woman goes, you know who I need to ask to teach me how to wrestle? Lacey Von Erich. She couldn't, especially after, like, the reaction to her asking is, she was a bitch to them for weeks. And they tell her to get the fuck out of the locker room because they don't want to fucking talk to her. Because they're like, you're a bitch, get the fuck out. So she leaves. Miss Tessmacher, you'd think she'd ask someone who could wrestle, like a man. And I'm not saying because men can, I'm saying, like, you'd think, being Miss Tessmacher, she could go up to a guy like anyone. She could go up to, I'm trying to think of a guy who's not doing anything at the moment. The Pope, for instance, and say, would you teach me how to wrestle? And, like, teach me how not to die in the ring. And then the guy'd be like, I don't know. I'm kind of busy. And, of course, she, like, hefts her boobs up, and the guy's like, sure. That's it. That's the storyline. You know, like, you really don't have to work that hard to tell this story. But, like, I just found it amusing. That was her first thought, was like, I need to ask the other knockouts how to wrestle. But that's not the funny part. This is the funny part. And the first time it happened, it was so poorly shot, I didn't know what the fuck happened. So I watched it again. And those are the best segments, when I don't know what the fuck happened the first time, I watched it again. And there were 2 of them in this show. They were that good. So, everyone leaves for some reason, except for Pirate Whore. And Angelina Love is sitting there, fixing her hair or putting makeup on or whatever. And then the camera pans over, and standing behind Pirate Whore is Katie Lee Burchill. If you don't know her, she was Pirate Paul Burchill's sister. And she's got like a white streak in her hair, and she's standing there, and she's, how do I describe this? She's standing there looking like an alien. She stands like rock rigid, staring straight ahead, not looking at Angelina. She's staring straight ahead, and she's very close, and she's like, hello, my name is Winter. I'm a great admirer of your work. And she starts staring, like, I'm not doing it justice. Like, you could have played, like, music from The Omen, like the Damien music from The Omen. I was laughing my ass off at this moment because it was so funny. She's staring. I'm crying. I'm sorry. She's staring straight ahead. My name is Winter. She was talking like a robot. That's why I said she was talking like an alien. It's because it was completely monotone, and she had no inflection to her voice. She's like, my name is Winter. I'm a great admirer of your work. And then Angelina's like, okay, thanks. And she like, Winter reaches her hand out, and Angelina shakes it, okay? And then the camera kind of does one of these, like, she's like, Winter, like, imagine this coat is Winter, and so it's like, Angelina turns around and starts to shake her hand, okay? And she's shaking her hand, and then the camera kind of pans this way. And then, I think it's Velvet Sky comes in the room, and it's like, Angelina, who are you talking to? And Angelina goes, what? Oh. And then the camera pans over, and there's nobody here. Okay? Hang on. It pans over, and then it pans back, and there's nobody there. And then Angelina goes, did you see there was someone here. And Velvet's like, there's no one here. And Angelina goes, there. And Velvet says, okay, I guess we've all got our little imaginary friends. Woo. And so, there's no explanation for this. This was a ghost. There was no other way into or out of that locker room. Velvet would have seen her leave. So Angelina was talking to a specter. This was phenomenal television. You know what I said that... You know what I said that last week? Vince Russo, ever since this whole Immortal thing came down, was basically the new version of the NWO. That I said it was almost like they compressed the entire last year of WCW into a 3-hour show, like repackaging the very worst angles in that last year, up to and including the finger poke of doom. I missed some because they found one that I'd forgotten about up until I saw this. Go back and look at that clip if you haven't seen it now. The clip I posted below the one, the Hulk Hogan clip, where Hulk Hogan is being tormented by the Ultimate Warrior. And so Hogan goes into his dressing room, and all of a sudden, behind the mirror appears the Ultimate Warrior, who's kind of going, like not saying anything. He's just kind of doing his Destrucity thing, where he's like, and Hulk Hogan is like, he's talking crazy, because at this point, Hulk Hogan is crazy, because he's being haunted by the Ultimate Warrior, and he's seeing the Ultimate Warrior where there is no Ultimate Warrior. And Eric Bischoff comes in, and he's like, who are you talking to, Hulk? And Hulk's like, brother, don't you see? It's the Warrior, man. And Eric's like, I don't see shit. What are you talking about? And Hulk's like, it's the Warrior, man. It's the Warrior. Yes, Warrior. I will fight you. And the Warrior's like, ah. And Bischoff's like, the fuck are you talking about? The Warrior's not there. There's nothing there. It's just you. But we can see the Warrior. You know? Like, Hogan can see him, but Hogan is crazy. But we can see the Warrior. So, he's really there. So the only thing you can imagine is that Eric Bischoff is insane. Because he's the only guy doesn't see the Warrior. And as soon as I posted that link, a bunch of people reminded me that they've done this before. Or they've done this since. Not TNA, but they've done this a couple times with Kane. I think it was. What was it? Yeah, it was like, I think they did it twice with Kane. Where, I think one time was like the May 19th thing where Kane was being tormented, and there was another time where I think it was like Jack Swagger. Again, my memory for stuff is a little muddled when it comes to stuff like this, but like, I remember Kane was like haunting somebody, and Jack looked in a mirror, and he saw like an image of his own dad in the mirror that was covered in blood. Like, because Jack Swagger had pissed Kane off, and so he was like, he was going to beat up his dad. And so he looks in the mirror, and all of a sudden the mirror shifts, and we see Jack Swagger's dad covered in blood, and he's like, oh my God! And we were just, that wasn't quite as bad, honestly, as the Hulk Hogan thing, because with that one, they pretended like Eric Bischoff couldn't see it. You know, with the Jack Swagger thing, everyone saw it, but they were like, Kane's got magic! Did you see that? And I'm like, yeah, I saw it. But yeah, that was... They are copying with Katie Lee Burchill the Hulk Hogan haunted by the Ultimate Warrior angle. This is amazing. Amazing television. There is nobody in the world could watch this and take this seriously. It can't be done. It just can't. I spent 15 minutes talking about that. I'm sorry. Now, if you missed what I said before about Fortune describing AJ Styles challenging the Pope to a street fight, actually, I didn't say this. AJ said, I'm going to put my title on the line. It's going to be a street fight. But what I didn't mention was this next little factoid that comes up. Flair gets iced. And then Eric Bischoff comes in and he breaks it up. And he's like, I hate to do this to you guys. I don't want to be a buzzkill. But AJ, in your street fight tonight against AJ, the Pope, in your street fight, if anyone from Fortune interferes, I'm afraid the Pope's going to win by disqualification and win your TV title. So begins AJ Styles versus the Pope in a fight with disqualifications. And not only can this no disqualification street fight end in a disqualification, but the title will change hands on the disqualification. Oh. This is the stupidest show I've ever seen. I'm not a smart man. Okay? I'm not saying that you should hire me. I'm not saying that TNA should hire me to save their show. I'm really not. That would be kind of cool. But I'm not a guy who knows... I'm not saying like, oh, well, if you were smart like me, you'd see these plot holes. You'd see that this doesn't make sense. This is not how you tell a story according to Bill Moyers. You know, Joseph Campbell would never approve of this. This is stuff a 4-year-old could poke holes in. If I were to say, okay, now in this match, AJ Styles and the Pope are going to have a street fight. And the kid goes, what's a street fight? I go, well, it's a fight where they can hit each other with anything. They can use weapons. They can choke each other. They can beat each other up. And the kid goes, oh, so it's like no disqualifications. They can do anything and not worry about getting disqualified. I'd be like, right. And also, if AJ gets disqualified, he loses the title. And the kid goes, wait, what? I go, yeah. There are DQs in a street fight. Right away, this is the kind of shit that goes on where even though the match was pretty good, I was too busy writing out just how fucking pissed off I was about this insane horse shit that I didn't even bother watching the match. By the way, this match was longer than every other wrestling match's combined runtime. I also wrote, as stupid as this is, and it's very stupid, I could book this match in my sleep. Again, here's the stipulations. And you don't even need to think for 5 seconds to figure this one out. Eric Bischoff goes back and says, guys, if anyone from Fortune interferes, AJ will be disqualified and lose his title. Immediately, what's your thought? Well, someone not in Fortune interferes. That's what happens. Abyss interferes. Ref is powerless. Counts to 3. That's the end. They fucking no clue what they're doing. I'm gonna skip ahead. Oh, Christ. there's a recap of Team 3D and their title match where they're going to fight the Motor City Machine Guns, and that's it. That's it. But what they do is they go backstage. No, not even backstage. As soon as the Team 3D thing that was actually really good. I liked the Team 3D thing, where they compared themselves to Alexander the Great because they say they're retiring because they've done everything there is to do in this business, and like Alexander the Great, there are no more lands to conquer. And I was like, all right, that was okay. That was pretty good. I liked it. Then they go to the parking lot. Just about every aspect of this, everything I'm about to say is entirely true. Okay? I am not exaggerating. I'm not making any of it up. And I have no idea why any single thing that I'm about to say actually happened. Okay. They go to the parking lot immediately. Why? I don't know. But they go there. The Motor City Machine Guns are in the parking lot. And they are tossing a football between one another. And they are doing this at a distance of about 6 feet, which immediately raises the grim specter of Tommy Wiseau playing catch with people in the room. But the Motor City Machine Guns are basically reenacting a scene from the room by tossing a football back and forth. Why? I don't know. Because playing catch is fun? From 6 feet? Okay. Other things are happening. The other things that are happening are... Which one do I say first? Okay. While this is going on, Velvet Sky is back there as well. And she's saying something. I don't know what. But she's trying to get Chris Sabin's attention. But he is too engrossed in the game of catch to pay attention to the gorgeous woman who is basically tugging on his sleeve trying to get his attention. At the same time, Velvet Sky has a pastry. I think it's a cupcake or a pie. Like a really small pie. It might have been a cupcake. I will say she had some form of iced baked good in her hand. As this is going on, I can't hear what Velvet is saying, because the entire time, the unseen cameraman is saying, guys, what do you think about Team 3D's challenge? Guys, what do you think about Team 3D's challenge? Are you going to respond to Team 3D's challenge? Chris, Team 3D's challenge, what do you think about it? Chris. And eventually, Sabin goes, what? And the guy goes, what do you think about Team 3D's challenge? And the guy goes, Sabin goes, look, I don't know. And then, all of a sudden, Generation Me shows up. The Young Bucks appear, and they take the ball away. And they throw the ball at Chris Sabin in the back of the head. And they bonk him with the ball. And so Sabin spins around and he's fucking furious. And they all start to argue. And they start to argue and yell at each other like, what the fuck was that? You hit me in the fucking head with a ball. And they're like, and Generation Me are just like, what are you going to do about it, butthead? What are you going to do? And then, for no reason, Velvet Sky, like, pushes the Motor City Machine Guns to either side. And throws the cupcake. I really want to know what pastry this was now. I should actually go, but I'm actually kind of curious what kind of... She takes the cupcake, and whichever one is the blonde one, she throws the pastry in his face. And then Sabin punches him in the face. And then the blonde one falls down. The brown-haired one kind of stares in shock at just what happened. And then the Motor City Machine Guns leave. I have no clue what the fuck just happened. They were playing catch. Generation Me arrived. Velvet Sky came out of nowhere, threw a pie or a pastry in one of their faces, and then they left. I don't know why Generation Me is being assholes. I don't know why the Motor City Machine Guns are playing football. I don't know why Velvet Sky is trying to get Chris Sabin's attention. I don't know what she was eating. And I don't know why she took such an interest in getting Chris Sabin interested in what she was eating. But I'm interested now. I want to know. I'm truly dumber for describing that scene to you. Oh my god. Jeff Jarrett comes out. How much more is... Woosa. Look at my face. This is what the show is doing to me. Jeff Jarrett comes out, and he says he's sorry. He wants to apologize to Kurt Angle. He says, I'm sorry. Sorry I didn't beat you up worse! OMG heel turn! I never saw that coming! I'm sorry. So, he starts to make fun of Kurt. Then Samoa Joe comes out. And as soon as Joe comes out, the heel security team of Gunner and Murphy attack him. And they handcuff Joe's arms in front of it. And actually, they handcuff in front of him. And so, somehow Joe throws Jeff in a chokehold, but he can't overcome the three of them combined. You know, the security guys. And so, Tenay says in my favorite quote of the night, "Not this crap again." What happens is, Jeff finally drags Samoa Joe up to the top of the ramp and throws him off the ramp. And we get a camera look down there, and Joe is laying motionless at the bottom of a 20-foot deep pit. Really. And there's blood, a huge amount of blood, coming out of his head. Joe has just been hurled down a 20-foot precipice and has severely injured his own head. So, hey kids, wrestling. Then, as Jeff is looking down at what's going on, Mike Tenay has had enough. Mike Tenay, he takes his headset, he's like, that's it. Jeff Jarrett, look at what you're doing. And he gets Jeff's attention. He stands up for the announce booth and he gets up there and he's like, Jeff, God damn it. This has gone on long enough. Do you see what you're doing? Do you see what's happening? You've gone too far. You've lied to us. You've sent this company down the toilet. How dare you, Jeff Jarrett? Shame on you, Jeff. 8 years you've been giving us pep talks, saying about how we have to be the TNA family, and you fucked us over. And, Mike today is, really pissed off. And then they kind of fade to commercial as Jeff is kind of thinking about what Mike Tenay said. But, yeah, Mike Tenay finally stepped up. And so, I said attempted murder. It's fun when it's on camera with thousands of witnesses. So, they come back from commercial. And after this, the entire rest of the show, Taz is really upset. Taz is, he's you can tell he's bothered. Taz is like, Mike Tenay, I gotta say, I don't really approve of what you did. And Mike's like, the fuck are you talking about? And Taz is like, well, I gotta tell you, I think you really crossed the line. I think you were a little unprofessional back there. And Tenay's like, what the fuck are you talking about? He's like, well, when you got up from the announce booth and you got in Jeff Jarrett's face, I think that was uncalled for. And Mike's like, are you fucking kidding me? And Taz's like, I'm just saying, we're commentators. We don't do this. You crossed the line, Mike. That's all I'm saying. And he's like really upset. The entire show, the rest of the show, he couldn't talk about anything else. He couldn't call the matches. He was like, Mike, they're arguing back and forth, and Taz is like, well, Mike, I just think you've lost your objectivity here. And Tenay's like, so, yeah. Taz is calling Mike Tenay out on being unprofessional in leaving his role as a commentator and getting himself involved in storylines. This after two things. He's giving Mike Tenay this speech not only a week after Taz did the exact same thing when Jeff threw Kurt Angle into the stage. Taz said, that's it, I can't stand no more. He gets up and he gets in Jeff Jarrett's face. So Taz just did this. Not only that, but he's calling another man unprofessional minutes after he just watched another man throw Samoa Joe off a 20-foot pit, giving him severe physical brain injury. He's calling Mike Tenay unprofessional after we just witnessed an attempted murder. Beer Money versus RVD and Sabu. This was not a good match. And Sabu sucks. He was not good. I said he really stunk the joint up. He had awkward bumps, awkward moves, and was really off. Now, this is again where I go into the point where I bitch about the referees. I don't know why I do, because this is every week this shit happens. And I call it out every week, and I might as well just be just pissing in the wind. There comes a point where, at the end of the match, they're holding Rob up with his arms pinned behind his back. And James Storm gets the beer, and he does the thing where he spits the beer in the guy's face. But Rob ducks, and he spits the beer in Robert Roode's face. So, this is not a DQ in any way. Even though, let's consider what would have happened had Rob not moved. James Storm would have spit the beer in Rob's face, and in theory, that would have been a disqualification. Yes? But even though he attempted to use a foreign object and blind his opponent with beer, since he missed, it was not a disqualification. Immediately after that, Sabu grabs a chair and goes to swing it at one of Beer Money, but the other guy ducks, and Sabu accidentally hits Rob in the face with the chair. Again, this is not a DQ, even though Sabu brought a chair in and fully intended to swing it into the face of his opponent, which, had he connected, would have been a DQ. But since he just clocked his own partner in the face with a chair, that's okay. The match continues. So, of course, Rob Van Dam, being an idiot who believes everything Eric Bischoff says, now thinks Sabu is the one who double-crossed him or is trying to betray him to Immortal, even though Sabu spent 95% of the match getting his ass kicked by Beer Money. So if this was illusion, if this was subterfuge on Sabu's part, he's really suffering for his art. You know. Then Mickey cut a promo on Sarita riding a plastic bull. Sarita versus Mickey James. I wrote, I have no idea if Sarita is a heel or not. I haven't seen her wrestle in months. Mickey kicks her ass. Then we go to Anderson. This is a weird... Anderson's backstage, kind of sitting on a crate or something like that. And he's like, yeah, I got an Ultimate X match against Kazarian. And I'm hurt. I'm hurt bad. And you have no idea how bad I'm hurt. He's like, but, I got a hyperextended elbow. I got a separated shoulder. I can't move my arm. I got a broken leg. I got to get out there. And I'm like, wait. What? I rewound it. And he says, I got a hyperextended elbow. I got a separated shoulder. I got a broken leg. But I'm going to go out. I'm like, a broken leg? What? Mr. Anderson just claimed he had a broken leg. I don't even know where to start. I honestly have no words for this. I'll just say for now that I was not aware that Mr. Anderson had a broken leg. He seems fine, at least in terms of his leg health. I don't really know what he was talking about. But yeah, he had an Ultimate X match with Kazarian. But first, all of Fortune kicked his ass. And Kazarian pretty much had the thing handed to him. And yet, Kazarian almost lost this match somehow. Because even though I really hate how they make people look weak this way, but it's okay. So even though Mr. Anderson started the match with a separated shoulder, hyperextended elbow, and a broken leg, he couldn't beat Mr. Anderson. Not only that, he couldn't beat the injured Anderson after 6 other men beat him up for 5 minutes. No, he was laying dead on the ramp, injured, and re-injured, and Kazarian could somehow not put this away. To the point where Anderson killed him with the mic check, and eventually Fortune just said, fuck it. And Fortune ran out, and they just basically sat on Mr. Anderson. And Matt Morgan picked him up, and he won the X. Kazarian looked like a complete pussy. Like, that was remarkable how much, like, I've really never seen a guy put over that weekly, where it took 7 men on an injured opponent to get him to win. Wow. And then, this is where I said they're really trying to pull the trigger on Taz, where is it? Where did I put it? Yeah. During the match, Anderson gets a ladder, and Taz says that's cheating. Taz says, that's not right. And Tanae's like, what? And Taz is all, that's a shortcut. You can't do that. And Tanae's like, well, let me check the rule book real fast. I don't see nothing. And Taz is like, you know what I mean. That ain't right. That Mr. Anderson's taking a shortcut. And I was like, Taz, are you out of your fucking mind? He's like, you can't use this isn't a ladder match. This is an Ultimate X match. You gotta climb across the cables. You can't do that shit. And so that right there was where I was like, wow, you are really trying your best to make Taz a heel, and it's not really working. Like, Taz, there's a difference between this, and this is a hard line to walk, honestly, for a heel, where for a heel commentator, it's really hard not to be annoying, because you're either annoying, you're a good heel, or you come across as being a fucking idiot. So that's kind of where Matt Stryker is right now, where Matt Stryker comes across as an idiot who just makes shit up, like really outlandish shit. That's where he is. He's supposed to be a heel, but he just sounds like a fucking moron. So when Taz is saying this stuff, you're just like, are you fucking stupid, Taz? Like, yes, you can use a ladder in this match. Nobody does, but they, like... Like, again, going back to my shotgun example. Like, if AJ Styles brought a shotgun to the street fight, Taz would be like... Since it's a heel, Taz would be like, it's a street fight. People got shotguns in street fights. But if the Pope had done it, he'd be like, that's cheating. I don't know. I'm rambling. I'm so pissed off with this. This was a bad one. Jeff Hardy comes out finally once Kaz wins the X, winning essentially nothing, by the way. Jeff Hardy comes out and hits Anderson in the back with a chair. But he does it in such a way that he misses, and not on purpose. He swings it, hits him in the back, but the edge of the chair hits him like right in the back of the head. And his head is gashed, like from ear to ear, basically. You can see Anderson, he's hurt. He's like, oh, fuck! And you can see like blood just like pouring out of the back of his head because the edge of the chair fucking cut him. That had to hurt like a son of a bitch. Woo, that had to suck. I'd be so fucking pissed at Jeff Hardy after that. I'd be like, oh, look what you fucking did to me, man. Like, man, that fucking suck. Woo! So yeah, that was Impact. I feel like I should, I actually feel a little bad that I called for a Twitter flood on Dixie Carter because A, it didn't really accomplish anything. B, it was immature. And C, honestly, I'm above that. You know, I really am. I don't need to do that. And I think it honestly, it weakens my case when I do that. So I feel bad that I called for the Twitter flood. I'm not going to say I'm sorry. But I don't want to do that anymore. It's just not the best way, I think, to get my... I thought... You know what it was? I thought that if I said it enough times, like if I had someone come on out and say it enough times, that maybe Dixie would read one of them and be like, oh, Wrestle, what's this? Oh my God, my show sucks. I don't know. I'm out of my mind. But yeah, I thought maybe that would happen. Not the case, but don't do that anymore. But honestly, I do encourage you, if you have something to say to Dixie, say it. Like, don't just copy and paste the comments that I've been making. Don't, because it ruins my credibility, and I think they just ignore it. Write out a complaint. If you have a complaint, a legitimate complaint that's thought out, and even if you just want to say that Dixie, your show sucks, please stop. Write that. And I'm not encouraging you to flood her. I'm not encouraging you to spam her channel. At least not anymore. I think that's the best way to make your case, is you got to vote the only way you know how. And if you have a vote and you want your opinion to be heard, try it. Say it. Say it to Dixie, because that's the only person who might listen. You got to hope. And so again, I'm not encouraging spam, but I am encouraging you to cast a vote. Make your voice known, because this has to stop. This show fucking sucks. And there is hope it could get better if someone would just listen. If only. Until next week, this is Wrestle Wrestle signing off.